We need a strengthened global organization that can negotiate, plan, organize, schedule, coordinate, fund, implement. We really need to empower the United Nations, UNFCCC, to be much stronger, And then I've set up a website, and also we have a presence on the Facebook page, which Christina was very helpful in setting up for us for the Brighter Climate Futures. And we will in future be doing an open climate university, which will be on YouTube to educate the public, not only about the contents of the book, but also educate high schools, universities, and people. And then also we'll be establishing chapters. We are getting started with establishing a chapter in Bangladesh, and then we'll have chapters in the cities and other nations of the world. And anyway, that's my book. You can either order this from the Regent Press or from Amazon or from Barnes & Noble. It's also available in ebook form, and you can order it and read it on your tablet or computer. So what can you do? You can be very active locally, and you can apply pressure, and then link the local to the global. Whatever you can do at the local level is great, but you have to make it clear that unless we succeed, the wildfires are telling us, unless we solve global warming, climate change globally, we're still going to continue to suffer locally. So we have to continue doing that. And with that, I proceed to thank you, and that's the end of my talk. I just wanted to say that, so what will the world look like, after all of this is implemented? Firstly, there's no question of doing without. Don't listen to climate deniers that say, oh, we're going to have to cut back. And don't listen to them. We will have plenty of renewable energy, mainly solar. The earth will be much cleaner, less polluted, not very hot, a beautiful, healthy, and productive planet, and a good life for all. We can have it all, but we have to start now, and we have to work on it in an organized and systematic fashion globally. Again, thank you very much. Sorry, I might have exceeded a little bit of the time. Apologies for that. And now we can get into the question and answer period.
Okay, yes, well, thank you very much, Hari. Everybody clap for Hari, thank you. And I do have two things to say. I'm Christina Deptula, working with Hari, and yeah, that was an awesome presentation. And please put questions into the chat, and I have typed the link to be able to order the book from Regent Press, which is a great small press, supports small presses during the time of COVID, all small businesses. I have put the link to order Hari's book in the chat. And also, and I am very sorry that they were not available tonight. They were listening. This is because of me, because I let them know too late. But I am working with two wonderful, talented sign language interpreters. Rebecca King and a colleague of hers, different colleagues joined her on different nights. So, and they are interested in volunteering in the future, the next time, Hari, that you give this talk, so that it will be more accessible. So more people will be able to hear it in American Sign Language.
Great.
So letting you know that that's an option for you and Regent Press. Rebecca King would like to work with you in the future to be able to put that on. And yeah, sorry they weren't able to join us tonight, but that I would really like to facilitate that in the future. So Mark or Regent Press, if you'd like to put it on another night, put the same talk on another night with sign language interpretation. That's definitely a possibility in the future.
That's great. That's great. I look forward to doing that, certainly. Yeah, if there are questions from the audience, I would love to entertain those now.
Okay, we do have a question. Do you think controlled burns could help prevent massive wildfires like we saw this fall on the West Coast?
Yeah, I think controlled burns can be part of a strategy for wildfire minimization for sure. I think that there's a whole host of strategies that can be implemented, and controlled burns have been used. It requires an organized set of people who are go and conduct these controlled burns, and you have to make sure that, of course, it doesn't get out of hand. So it can actually be used for, part of the strategy. I think we have to listen to the experts, both in terms of how to better manage our, prepare our forest areas. Now that we're getting our first rain in California, we really need to be talking to our experts and say, okay, all of Northern California is forested and all down the coast. What do we go and do in these forest areas in order to start preparing them for the next forest season? And control burns can certainly be part of that strategy. But like I said, it needs to be done in a careful manner, so as to create these types of gaps between different forest segments, so that a massive fire in one segment doesn't expand to another segment. Yeah.
All right, we have another question. Somebody teaches middle school science, 8th grade, and she wants to know what is an important takeaway for teenagers from your talk. If she's going to go talk to her students tomorrow and they ask her about this, what should she tell them that you talked about?
I am preparing, like I said, an open climate university where I'll be making educational packages available for, I was thinking of high school grade, but 8th grade is, I guess, the last of elementary in the US. But I think that for them, I would say that there are solutions to climate change, and there's a tremendous amount of information available about the problems. The science of climate change, the greenhouse gases and how they trap heat, and when they trap heat, what kind of models are available. So there needs to be also, I think, a parallel path of the science and the strategies for solutions. The kinds of things that can be done with understanding solutions like solar and wind energy, understanding the kinds of organizational structures that would be needed for utilities, or the kinds of policies that can be done to encourage the transition. Those kinds of things, I think, can talk about that. These kinds of things can be done, and they need to be received a great amount of attention. Like I said, I will make information available, and I'll actually try and, along with my particular thing, I see the person, and I will try and put together an immediate reading list for 8th graders, especially from the science aspect of things. Other questions?
Okay, somebody is asking about the efforts of the Rocky Mountain Institute, if you have heard of them.
Oh yeah, Rocky Mountain Institute, I'm reaching out to them. Rocky Mountain Institute is a very good institution, and it really, it has published the energy power plants, and the renewable energy power plants are what, so the Rocky Mountain Institute is extremely good. The other institution in the United States is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, also in Colorado, both of which I'll be talking to. Rocky Mountain Institute is an excellent institution that takes a whole lot of areas, and they're an excellent group of people. And like I said, they have documents on how to set up renewable energy power plants. And so I'll definitely be cooperating with the Rocky Mountain Institute.
All right, great. So we have some other questions. Somebody says, oh, my friend Carmen says, do you ever worry that the problem might be political rather than technological? Are you seeing political leaders adopting the kinds of plans we need to stay below 1.5?
Yeah, actually, the problem since 1992, when the global treaty was signed, if we had just done 1% reduction in greenhouse gases, and so we'd be down by 30% today, we actually could use fossil fuel use significantly because the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere wouldn't be that high, and we won't be suffering so much from climate change. But because we have delayed so much, and it's been because of the climate deniers and the fossil fuel interests, and we've been out there fighting wars over oil, it's the politics that has really, and the climate deniers, finding political supporters, and the political support people supporting climate deniers, that has really, really delayed the whole process. But what I see happening, even though the United States was out of the loop the last 4 years, and prior to that it was showing leadership, but I see it now, nation after nation lining up. China, which had said it would only peak out by 2030, but now it is saying that it might try and get to net zero by 2060, and peak out sooner than 2030. And Japan just announced that it would be net zero by the year 2050. California has announced that it will be net zero by 2045. And net zero means that whatever you're emitting, you're also making sure you're absorbing it somewhere else in terms of carbon emissions. There are about 50 nations, a combination of nations and national entities or states like California that have agreed to be carbon neutral so as to meet the needs of 1.5. So I think slowly the world is coming online. Even the leaders, current leaders like the European Union and California really need to up their ambition, because they need to replace the natural gas power plants with renewable energy power plants plus hydrogen, and then Europe needs to do the same. It needs to get off of coal. It needs to stop basing its strategy on natural gas in the future, and again, switch to combinations. You know, it is doing, Scandinavian countries are doing research on ammonia and using ammonia fuel on ships. And so those kinds of things need, I talk about research development and RDD and D, which is research development, demonstration and deployment. Demonstration means you ought to be physically able to go someplace and touch and feel something that, hey, this is a working model. It might only be 5 megawatt, but it actually shows that the darn thing works, and you have something to base the economics on, you know. And you take an ecosystem. You can go and visit eelgrass at Point Mulate and say, hey, here's eelgrass. Look at all the things. You can take kids on a field trip to eelgrass at Point Mulate and say, hey, here's a functioning ecosystem. So you need demonstration, you know. But yeah, you're right. More and more nations have been, need to be getting on stream. Other questions?
Oh, we do have a question. Somebody was asking about the contributions of animal agriculture on climate change and what we can do about that. We eat more broccoli, for one. I come from a big garden family. So yeah, what would you say about mitigating the effects of animal agriculture on climate change?
Animal agriculture is the factory farming is terrible. We look at animal lots, large cattle lots, and big hog farms and so forth. They are terrible for the environment, and they are terrible because soybean and corn has to be grown on very large tracts of land. It takes 16 pounds of this grain to produce 1 pound of beef. And so animal agriculture is having a devastating effect. So we need to cut back on, I'm not saying eliminate meat use. There are some people who talk about regenerative agriculture. You can have, grass-fed animal agriculture where the soil is actually managed to have great amounts of carbon. So I'm not saying to my meat-eating friends, I'm not saying give up meat altogether, but cut back and discourage meat production and use globally, whether it is cattle ranches in the Amazon or large livestock farms in China or the United States. These need to be, reduced. And the more you reduce, the more, and combined with storing carbon in the soil, having a more organic, natural farming, organic farming, and reduced fossil fuel use, reduced use of direct use of ammonia, you can actually do much better. And animal agriculture is not a topic I take up very significantly, just a few paragraphs, but it needs to be a very significant part. And there's a Dr. Sailesh Rao, who might be one of the participants here from the organization called Climate Healers. I really strongly advocate you folks to read his books and visit the climatehealers.org website. It really is a big problem and needs, there's also methane and nitrous oxide directly being emitted from either manure lagoons or directly from these cattle stocks. So that really needs a good amount of attention in order to transform. And actually, the plant-based agriculture food is actually much better for your health. So it's going to be a win-win situation on both directions.
Okay, that's great. So we have a couple more questions, and then Rebecca King, our volunteer sign language interpreter, and her colleague are going to say something. So, okay. Yeah, we have, let's see, Donna says there is a lot of work being done with regards to cities of the future, and a big driver is coming from technology and innovation from industry, and she has a number of resources she would be happy to share with Hari, so I can connect you afterwards. Or you can type your email in the chat, or Hari can type his email in the chat.
Yeah, I see that from Donna. That is great. It's amazing. I thought I have been writing for the last 30 years on regenerative agriculture. I just recently, 2 days back, listened to Mary Chambers, who's the head of the Sierra Club of California. And I just listened to her 2 days back. And I learned an immense amount about regenerative agriculture. So I'm learning all the time. I learned about community microgrids from a gentleman who's also, I think, one of the participants here, Craig Lewis, whose endorsement is in the back of my book. I learned about community microgrids. So I'm learning all the time. I'm a student also, and I'm learning. There's a particular graphic I have in my book which talks about eco-cities. And I think that, Donna, I would love to learn from what's being done in regard to the cities of the future, and also innovation from industry. I have a graphic in my book that talks about what the design of an eco-city would look like. We have depressed communities in the United States, previous coal communities and so forth, that have been totally left behind. An eco-city for small cities would be a tremendous thing, where we would combine it with agroforestry and composting and solar electric power and battery power plants and so forth, and good forms of low carbon transportation. And so the whole eco-city concept is one that really needs to be, we need to educate ourselves and transform our cities into eco-cities. So I'm really looking forward to it. And if Donna wants to make a few remarks, that would be most welcome.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful connection. That's what I love about all of these events, people from all around the country just being able to run into each other and find commonalities in areas where we can work together and inspire each other. So Leslie Purcell says, have you been in touch with the new presidential administration transition team? This seems that it would be helpful.
I have sent them complimentary copies of my book. I did send one to Governor Newsom, the governor of California, and the governor of Washington State, Jay Inslee, and I got some nice polite letters, thank you letters from them, and also United Nations Secretary General. I have mailed copies to them and offered my services. I am actually looking forward to being in touch with them, and help them to the extent that they need help. It's my life's mission to try and help. I'm 72 years old. but I still am in good health. But I would like to devote the remaining years of my life to make this happen, so that get to the age of 100 by the year 2050. I can have seen this whole transformation take place. And the ideal would be, if I was the US Secretary of Energy in a 4-year period, I think I could transform the US, get US totally on the path, because I have the engineering background, I have the scientific background, I have the ecological background. Anyways, that's just my personal tooting horn, but I think someone like myself can, or people like me, can certainly help the Biden administration transition totally. And the US can be a leader, and the US needs to be a leader, because people, the other countries of the world, I think President Obama was influential in convincing folks because of what he was doing inside the US. He was able to get China and other nations to come to the Paris Agreement and get that signed. So I think the next administration, whatever help they are, if they want to enlist me, I certainly would be willing to help.
Okay, great, wonderful. And so 2 more things quickly. The California Writers Club is hosting a write-in afterwards, and so Karma Bennett from the club would like to make that announcement. So everybody can unmute yourself, by the way.
Hi. Yeah, I posted the link in the chat. It's going to be a different Zoom where we're just going to be writing inspired by this event and any other thoughts that you have on climate. We've all made a personal commitment as writers to write more about climate change. Excuse me. So we thought this event would be a great opportunity to do that. And as writers, we welcome people to come write, whether it's letters to your senator, or whether it's poetry, or whether you have an essay to write, or whether you want to write a fiction novel, however you feel inspired to, face this crisis. That's something that we are going to be doing at 6:30. I might have to jump out a little soon to get that started for the writers who will get there. Or whenever this ends. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I believe you don't have to be a member of the Writers Club or even live.
No, it's absolutely free, yes.
So just anybody can join. That link is in the chat. You go and I think we're going to talk a little bit about the presentation and do some free writing. It's a time, do some writing about the environment. Yeah, as Karma said, whether that's a letter to a change maker or whether that's poetry or prose. And
thanks.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm glad to be partnering as I am a member of the California Writers Club Berkeley chapter. And also Rebecca King, our sign language interpreter, and her colleague would like to make an announcement. They would like to say something.
Hi. I was just wanting to say thank you for the opportunity, and I'm sorry that we couldn't join tonight. I mean, I was off camera, but she was not able to join because her link was not working right. But we were using Whereby, which is like a FaceTime, and we were practicing off camera. So this was good practice for both of us. So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay,
You're welcome.
You're welcome,
Rebecca. Thank you so much.
Yes, and just in the future, I will put you in touch with Mark Wyman of Regent Press and with Dr. Hari Lamba so that you can provide sign language interpretation in the future so these events can all be accessible.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you.
Yeah. I look forward to interacting with all of you in the future. The website is brighterclimatefutures.com. If you simply go in there and just enter your contact information, you'll automatically be on my mailing list, and I'm going to be using MailChimp to mail out weekly newsletters, which will be another activity. So it'll be weekly newsletter, Open Climate University, and then chapters formed globally. Those are activities I'm planning to roll out in the latter part of this year. So anyways, do that so that we can stay in touch if you're not already in touch with me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Hari. I encourage anybody to check out this book and to check out brighterclimatefutures.com. And you've gotten some very positive comments. Anoop says, Hari, you are an inspiration to the batchmates. Excellent talk and book. And
yeah. I not only have a batchmates from my Indian Institute of Technology from India, where I came from a degree in aeronautical engineering. I have 2 or 3 of them here. And then I also have Dr. Masaki Kitagawa from Japan, who was my classmate when I was doing my grad studies in the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and he headed off to Japan. And Dr. Kitagawa is also online. And so anyway, my previous batchmates are with me here today, at least a few of them.
Okay, wonderful.
Harry, thank you very much for your nice presentation. It was very good. And Japan just started a carbon neutral program nationwide till 2050. And this presentation is just on time and very good contents. I just want to say one thing. In Japanese situation, we have already nuclear power plant program, which is good for the carbon neutral purpose. But in Japan, we have a lot of problem about how to store the waste material. In Japan, the land is not too big, therefore there is only limited area in Japan.
Right.
So there are a lot of the problem about the nuclear power station expansion or good operation of the nuclear power station. If you have any good suggestion about it, I appreciate.
A lot of I've been reading a lot on hydrogen and ammonia, and I've been told that there are hydrogen. There are Australian and companies and Japanese companies that have been talking to each other about developing. So the concept would be, rather than Australia providing exporting coal as it does to Japan right now, instead of that, Australia would be producing large amounts of hydrogen and ammonia in using its large land areas for solar energy to try and produce that and export that to Japan. The R&D that is being done is it's in a demonstration stage. Scandinavian countries are also involved, some US companies a little bit. Although US companies tend to talk more about the efficiency of fossil fuels. But some of that R&D is coming. So what my book is saying, let's raise this up to a level where we have the R&D and the demonstration and deployment of these new technologies occurring especially with the developed nations like Europe and Japan, US, and we develop these and make these technologies available for the rest of the world, especially the other 150 nations who don't have a good scientific or industrial capability by themselves. There are nations like the Maldives or Sri Lanka, which are importing diesel fuel in large quantities, and they need alternatives also. So I think Japan, with its good technological capability, can be a leader, or at least one of the leaders globally for this type of transformation,
Yeah, that is wonderful, and I know it's going to take the whole world working together. So you have some very positive comments in the chat, as I mentioned, and so everybody now is welcome to unmute themselves and ask any last questions, or say thank you or make any comments.
It's terrific, Harry. Good and informational, good and educational. I liked it.
Thank you very much. And this will be available as a video. I think Christina and Mark will make this available video to me, and I'll post it on YouTube. And it'll be Brighter Climate Futures book launch. And then I'll be posting another video called Open Climate Futures, which will be with flip charts in my backyard. And that will be the start of Open Climate University. But this video will also be there. And we're going to, anybody who was not able to come today, we're going to be letting all of them know that this video is available so that you can click on it and listen to it anytime. Okay?
Yes, wonderful. Thank you all very much. So if that's it, we have a tradition
just
of sending
one
people
comment,
out with
Hari.
applause.
Yeah, just
Thank
one
you.
comment, Hari. Yeah, I'm glad I have read your book, and you did an excellent job summarizing, which was a good review for me, having read it. So, and really commend you for the amount of effort you put in.
Yeah, it's good.
And good luck to you, and we wish you and wish all of us actually well, and hopefully we will have the right results.
Thank you very much, Ashok. I really appreciate that. It's good for me in the sense it keeps my brain cells active, and that is good, contributes to my mental health. So hopefully it contributes something to the world, you know. But thank you very much, everybody.
Hari and I go back 65
to 70
years.
Wow.
So I think it was, I forget the exact date, it was June of 1965, where we both were there for interview for the final selection for IIT Kanpur. And both of us shared the same, the culture was that the senior classes used to be called ragging. And the two of us were in the same room being ragged by our seniors.
Good. Thank you so much, Ashok. Thank you.
Yeah, again, good luck.
Yeah. Thank you, Masaki.
So awesome
Thank you,
that
Mary.
You have your college classmates here to support you.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.